What it do, cuckolds? It's your boy, the Hater, once again. Hater on the road! Take a moment to subscribe to my channel if you haven't, so we can grow together. Now, with all that being said, let's get to the video at hand, which is Raw moving on Netflix. Personally, I think this is a disaster, and it's going to go down as a big mistake. For two reasons. Primarily, I'm not sure how long this is going to last, right? The one thing we've seen consistently in the last few years is that the model of WWE and wrestling changes every couple of years. First, Raw is on SmackDown. SmackDown is on Fox, I should say. Then Raw is on USA. Now SmackDown is on USA. Then Raw is on Netflix. CW takes over for NXT, etc., etc. At this point, all they're doing is just moving Raw from one place to another. The correct thing to do, which now no longer is going to be a thing, would have been to just keep the WWE network, right? They needed to do that first, I guess, to show a proof of concept. Netflix found it lucrative. So did Peacock. But it seems like things are moving backwards, right? At the end of the day, you need something on TV. Despite what everyone says, people still watch TV, people still watch cable, and people still do something called flipping through channels, right? I, for example, don't have cable, but I use Hulu Live TV as my, cable alternative, right? In the sense that I go there and I can switch channels. I can be like, oh, here it is. Here's this, what's on right now. I can do all that kind of stuff, right? Now, with all that being said, that is a big, big, big benefit of any kind of live TV. To be on randomly when people tune in and they're like, oh, it's live, let's see what's going on. In addition, live TV has the ultimate advantage over non-live TV in that you can justify having commercials. Because if it's not live, I expect in this day and age to not watch commercials. Now, Raw will remain live, but it will no longer be on TV. It'll be on Netflix. And while now, for the first few weeks, it's going to be featured prominently on Netflix, I'm not sure how this is going to look in the future, right? This is especially true if, let's just say Netflix takes on NFL football down the line, right? They're going to promote that far more aggressively than Raw because that has a much bigger fan base, right? So then Raw is going to be pushed down and down, the line, down and down the algorithm, and quite frankly, no one's going to care about it. With live TV, you could see this in like bars. You could see this in restaurants. This is still common. I still see this in various places that I go to. They show Raw on TV. They're not going to do this anymore with Netflix. So a lot of people that don't know what wrestling is or don't even know that wrestling is a thing are not going to watch anymore. In the long term, I mean, right? A lot of people are going to be like, oh, it's on Netflix now? Well, Netflix has a lot of other things like Squid Games, which are far more interesting. So I think I'm going to watch that. In other words, on TV, let's say that in the 90s or even recently, right, there's, let's just say 200 channels, right? There's obviously more, but of those 200 channels that I'm talking about, maybe 15 of them are viable channels, right? Like, you got your Fox, your CBS, your NBC, USA, CW. It's like, that would be like at the bottom end of the 15, but you understand what I'm getting at, right? Very few of these channels are viable channels. If you're not in one of these channels, nobody gives a rat's ass, right? For example, The Walking Dead, it had to start, and I think it stayed on AMC or whatever, right? Nobody gave a rat's ass about AMC until Walking Dead made it a thing, right? So the point I'm trying to make is that if you're on TV, you're one of, let's say, 15 actual alternatives that people have to watch at that given time. If you're on Netflix, you're one of tens of thousands. So as a result, the viewership, in my opinion, will certainly decline. In addition, it's not just the viewership, right? It's the fact that this is a significant change. And it seems to me like a failure of the WWE network. They could have just put Raw on the WWE network, but they're afraid that nobody cares enough to get the WWE network. That's why they switched to Peacock, right? They're doing this out of necessity and out of a lack of faith, right? Even if Netflix offers them billions, the philosophy should be that WWE should be able to draw billions of dollars a year through their own network, right? They won't even need fewer people to watch. Then we've got WrestleMania and all the other stuff. Is that also going to be on Netflix? I mean, I don't see how that is going to be like I mean, the first one, again, is going to be a huge success, right? But down the line, things are going to get worse and worse. Now, you can see this, based on the fact that we have Raw on Netflix this Monday. And clearly, WWE, Triple H, and everybody else is doing their absolute best to promote this as a significant event. Now, they can do that once or twice, right? They can get John Cena out once or twice. They can get The Undertaker player out once or twice. But they cannot consistently do this. The fact of the matter is this. The current wrestling crop has not gotten over yet, and has not gotten over sufficiently. Part of the blame falls on Triple H. Part of the blame falls on the talent. And yes, part of it, of course, also falls on Vince McMahon. I believe that the apprehension that WWE has of creating megastars has led them to create no stars at all. You know what I mean? I explained this in a previous video where I highlighted the difference between a megastar, like The Rock, versus a wrestling star, like Randy Orton, right? Randy Orton is not going to draw viewers to other things. Like, if Randy Orton is on Family Feud, it's going to get the same, viewership than if, Anthony Anderson or some other jobber like that was on Family Feud, right? But if Randy Orton is on Raw, it's going to draw more people than if Anthony Anderson is on Raw. This is what I mean. The Rock, on the other hand, would draw more irrespective of where he goes. He would just draw people because he's now a mainstream star. WWE, in fear of making mainstream stars, have forgotten to make wrestling stars. This will become evident in the next few weeks as Netflix and the viewership of Netflix on Raw is going to steadily go down. People are going to be enamored. The first one's going to draw like crazy numbers, I'm sure. And so will the second one. Because the people that watch the first one are going to be like, wow, that was pretty cool. We saw a lot of cool things that mattered, right? Even though I don't know who Roman Reigns and Sol Sikoa are or why they're fighting over a necklace, it was presented as being meaningful. Then they're going to tune in the next week. They're going to see Dexter Lumis and Joe Gacy versus AOP. They're going to be like, what the hell is this? Why are these people fighting? That's the problem. Netflix will get a bump, a short-term bump on significant viewers like that watch Netflix, on their significant viewership numbers, the casual fans or the experimental fans. But then what? People are going to flock towards things that are on TV because there is a risk associated with being on TV. And as a result, things on TV just stand as being superior still to things on Netflix, right? Netflix has all these new shows all the time, but they don't become big, usually, right? The bigger shows are still on TV. Football is still on TV. Basketball is still on TV. They have done other things, right? So, for example, the NFL doesn't have necessarily like a WWE network equivalent, but they have like Sunday Ticket, or whatever it's called. They have Red Zone. They have other packages that you get through your cable provider or through your whatever, through Hulu and other things, where you pay a lot of money to get access to NFL and all the teams during the season. There's a reason why they haven't done this. It's because people are always going to be attracted to something with broad appeal versus narrow appeal. In addition, Netflix, even though it's an incredibly large company and a successful one, now sees a lot of competition. Raw used to see basically no competition. Now, they have to compete not only with all the other wrestling, which is irrelevant, but they have to compete with all of the shows that are on Netflix. So let's say, for example, you have a big show coming out. I don't know, Cobra Kai, the last part of the season, right? And let's say that it's going to release on a Monday. Now, here's what's going to happen. I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen. Netflix is going to push that because that's their own show. They're not going to push Raw. They don't care about Raw. They know that Raw will attract a certain number of people that will subscribe to Netflix that haven't yet. Personally, I think it's a very small number because I feel like the overlap of people that watch wrestling, people that have Netflix, is like 90%. But we'll see. Ultimately, WWE, in my opinion, is going to run back to USA Network. And that's what you're going to hear. In a few years, once this deal is abandoned, right? I don't even see it lasting the whole time. Netflix is going to say, sorry, Raw, beat it. they're going to say the same thing that Fox said, right? Because they're not stupid. And then you're going to hear Michael Cole say, well, finally back at home in the USA Network. That's what's going to happen. This will be a colossal disaster for Raw and for the fans. Cuckolds.